Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our regular Thursday lecture. I hope that your day is going great. We are thrilled to have you here with us, learning more about what it's really like to study in the US as a Ukrainian student. But before we get into the nitty gritty, let me just briefly introduce myself. As some of you may already know, my name is Victoria, and I'm the outreach coordinator for the Education USA network here in Ukraine. We are part of the global network of the US Department of State committed to promoting diversity in the higher education system in the US and, of course, building bridges of knowledge across borders. As the official source on US higher education, we offer accurate, comprehensive, and timely information about opportunities to study at accredited colleges and universities in the United States. Today, we are going to take a closer look at studying in the United States as a Ukrainian student. Have you ever dreamt of becoming a student in the US? Do you want to make this dream a reality? Well, do you want to know how to make the most out of the US college experience? What resources for students are available on campus, as well as some of the do's and don'ts in the US? We'll talk about all of these things and some more today. It is my pleasure to welcome our today's guest speaker, Valeriія Pavlик, a Ukrainian student who is currently attending Bard College at Simon's Rock and who will give you the inside scoop on the application process to American colleges, essay writing, seeking funding, and of course, what it's really like to study at an American college. Before we get started, I would just like to briefly encourage you to stay proactive and ask lots of questions. We would love to hear from you and, of course, assist you on your journey to US study. So do not hesitate to reach out and we'll be sure to do our best to help you. Meantime, I'll be monitoring all of your questions to make sure we get to every single one of them at the end of the presentation. Without further ado, Valeriia, the floor is yours. Please take it away.
Hello, everyone. As Victoria introduced me, I'm Valeriia. Thank you for having me. And today I will be talking about my experience. It was a really interesting experience, and I wouldn't say the easiest one, but what I have at the end is all what matters. So, how it all started. In 2021, I found out about the project, about the Klitschko Foundation and their online programs because it was post-COVID time and a lot of programs were in online format. So for the person like me from really small town, it was really beneficial to have something like that. I registered and I got in, and there they had a day where they introduced Ukrainian volunteering service, where the person who found the organization, Anna Bondarenko, was telling about her projects and the ways to connect with the volunteering community in Ukraine. So that's how I found out about the school agents of volunteering, and I got in. It was really cool experience. But it's not even about what we did, it's about the community that we found there. So people there were talking a lot about studying abroad. They were talking about how they do SAT, how they preparing for English tests, and I'm like, oh, what is that? Like, what is going on, and how do I how do I be closer to that community? So I started researching some information, and to be honest, it is really different than system in Ukraine. So it was not really easy process. I found out about United World Colleges, flags, and Ukraine Global Scholars. All of my friends are somehow connected or are members of these communities or are students there. So United World Colleges is a 2 years program, which if you qualify, I would definitely recommend to apply. It's the people who are there, it's really diverse community, and it's really good 2-year program before you actually gonna start your bachelor degree, or you're gonna apply to programs abroad. Then Flex, I think a lot of people know about Flex, Future Leaders Exchange Program. It's where you go for 1 year to the United States and just study in high school. And Ukraine Global Scholars, it's the program that also has a lot of alumnus of United States universities that are going to help on your way for applying to the United States colleges. I applied to all of these programs. I applied to UWC, I applied to Flex, I applied to Ukraine Global Scholars. Spoiler, I didn't get in anywhere. And now I see where was the problem. I haven't spent enough time on my applications over there, and I was kind of young, so I didn't realize like how important that would be for me. But at the same time, I was like, okay, it's a rejection, but even if I have a rejection, I'm gonna have an acceptance somewhere in the future. I just didn't know when. So after the war has started, I moved to the United States, and I was studying in regular high school in California, not boarding school, not private school. I just went to regular public school. We had volunteering there. I had like some interesting classes. I organized a collection of humanitarian aid. It was just I'm not saying that it's kind of a regular experience, but at the same time, it was just a high school. So I didn't really knew much about applying for colleges yet, but I was in the 11th grade, and the public high school system in the United States are usually 12 grades. So I was like, in Ukraine, we just had 11 grades. So I felt like I don't want to study 12 grades, even though I like the system because people get to know themselves better, and they more like steady with their major after 12 years. But I was like, okay, 11 grades, I think I'm done. So I translated my credits from my Ukrainian school to American system, and somewhere in November I got news that, oh, I can actually graduate this year. But if I can graduate, it means also that I need to start applying for colleges. So on my way from school, right at that day, I started Googling like, what do I do, like any resources for Ukrainian students, because I'm a Ukrainian student in the United States, so maybe they would have something. That's how I found the program I Mentor Ukraine. The point of the program, I think it's called right now Brave Generation. That's where students, Ukrainian students who got into the program were connected with students in Columbia University, in some other universities, just to have answers for their questions about applying and etc., to get some help. I got connected with a really great mentor in Columbia University. She was great. She helped me a lot. She told me, like, so this is Common App. This is where you apply to your colleges. This is where you write essay. This is like your main essay. Like, what should I write? Where should I write about it? So I listened to her, but at the same time, I was kind of still a child, and I haven't understood like really. So, oh my God, it's really important step of my life, and I'm applying for college, because I was still like, oh, I'm still in high school, but I'm like, okay, I'm applying for colleges. So the next step was English test, because English is not my first language, and since I didn't have much of a time, because it all happened to me in November, December, I really needed the fastest option, and I got lucky because most of the colleges I applied to were accepting Duolingo English test, and it was one of the fastest options besides TOEFL or IELTS, but it also has 4 sections. It also can be done online. It is mostly done online. So I did that, and then I was filling out my CSS profile. It's where you send an information, financial information of your family, so the colleges can figure out like how much aid of you need, or like how they can help you, or like how much money do you have to study in the United States. So the tip here on the essays, I would recommend to reread them anytime. Anytime you open them, you reread them. You reread them out loud, you revise them. And yeah, also, I know it sounds like a cliche, but be unique. Like, talking about myself, I was writing about the war because I didn't know what am I unique about. I was okay, like, I think it sounds like a unique story. It's not a unique story. Like, there are a lot of Iranian students who moved because of the war, who like want to study abroad because of the war. So it's not really a unique story. There can be some cases, but please try not to focus on it. Try to find something that you think you like. People from admissions will be reading that and they will be like, oh, okay, I will remember that person in my head. Like, if they're gonna read like thousands of essays about, oh, I moved because of the war, they will not remember anyone in particular. So this is like the main tip I can give. And don't write about like all the projects you were participant in. Write how those projects shaped you and why you are you because of them, if you really want to write about the projects. Yeah, so I got into a few colleges. I was waiting like 3 months for the results, which is really not a lot, because mostly people on early decisions, they start applying really early, which is good. I would definitely recommend doing that, because then the university has like more space, I would say. But I was a regular decision person. I got into a few colleges with no financial aid, which was not good, because some colleges are like really expensive, and for the person who doesn't have like income in the United States, who didn't have income in the United States at that time, it was not a really good option for me. Also, I got into another college, Seattle University, if anyone is interested, with scholarship $30,000, which was not really a lot comparing to the full price of the university. So I was like, okay. And another option I had was a full ride to the college I'm studying in right now, Bard College at Simon's Rock. They are paying for my tuition, so my classes, for my dorms, for health fees, for, I think I have like $350 per year in a bookstore. And like activities fee for students and etc. So it was a pretty good deal, I would say, so I accepted it. But to be honest, never be scared to like text and say like, hey, would it be possible for me to get more financial aid? Because I was at the point that I was so tired of applying. I was like, okay, that's a great option for me. It's a full ride. I don't need to text any other university. So I was like, okay, let's just take that. I would definitely recommend like finding out like, hey, can I get more scholarship? Can I get more financial aid? Like, it never hurts to ask, to be honest. So yeah, there are also some colleges that I didn't get in. So I applied to some Ivy League schools, and I'm not surprised they didn't take me because I haven't spent enough time on some of my essays. That's why I'm saying that's a good thing to keep revising them, keep rereading them, spend enough time on your essays. This is like the biggest, the most important thing that colleges, that the people in admissions will probably look at. So then how I applied. So in the United States, so smaller private liberal colleges, they don't usually ask you to declare a major for the first 2 years. So I'm kind of still have no major, but at the same time, I would probably like to study something like criminology or like, I don't know, something in pre-law path. But when I was applying as a international relations person, a gender studies person, political science person, and it never sticked out with me, to be honest. I was applying like, oh, a lot of people applying as like that major. Maybe I will like it, but I don't think I would stick out with that major that I applied with, but it's a good thing that I can always change it. So I can just declare another major just in case if I like, it just wouldn't work out for me in my first 2 years. So I would definitely recommend to have the major that you can show you're interested to in your application. So like if you're a physics major, like show that you were at the physics conference, or like that you wrote like a research paper on physics, or etc. But if you're like want to be someone in environmental science and you have like a debate club and a research paper on politics and etc etc etc, they wouldn't probably understand why do you want to study that major unless you're going to explain that in your essays. So I would definitely suggest to not apply with undecided major, because people in admissions probably will be like, oh, so what, like what did that person do? Yeah, I also applied in some colleges where I could as undecided, because again, I was just a high school junior, so 11th grade, and I was like, well, maybe they do not care enough. They care. They care. But never be scared, like to also don't never be scared to text people from admissions, or like they always have like ask a student on admissions websites. If you have any like even small question, always text anyone you can. Like you will always find answer somewhere. Like it never hurts to ask. The main thing I would say. The college I got in, Bard College at Simon's Rock, is located in Massachusets. It's pretty small liberal arts college. we're located in the middle of the forest, so I really like the environment. We have a lot of wildlife, and also they accepted some other Ukrainian students, so I have people from my country over there, which is really nice. But when I was applying, there was like a separate application specifically for students from Ukraine, where I also filled out the financial aid form. So my CSS profile didn't go to like all of my colleges. You always need to recheck which colleges require what. If they require SAT, you need to have that SAT. If they want you to do just TOEFL, which I don't think there are any like such picky colleges, you need to have that, because if you skip some requirements, they're not gonna really look at you like as a strong person who is applying, I'd say. But again, it never hurts to ask them if you, like, for example, I haven't had some financial documents because I moved the countries and I didn't have a chance to get to some of them. So I just texted a person from like the college I was applying to, hey, like, I'm in such and such situation, I cannot get this and this and this. Is it all right if I will just submit like part of these documents? The person said, yeah, that's totally all right, because a lot of people understand the situation. But you always should ask people. Always find out the answers to your questions. Yeah, so general tips I would like to give: be ready to solve problems, realizing that you are the person who is supposed to solve them. Like, there's no, not your parents are going to solve these problems for you if you're a college student in another country, but it always gonna be good because it shapes you as a person. You always need to look for people who also can help you with that. Like, I had some problems in my college where I didn't know who to go to. I just sent an email to the provost of my college and I'm like, hey, I have this problem. Do you know who I should go to solve this? Or like, do you know how to solve this? And etc. And my problem, all of them were solved because I never was scared to ask people to help me. Never be scared to ask people to help you, because a lot of them understand that you're an international student in the United States and they always gonna help you. I would say people in the United States are pretty much kind and they would definitely help, specifically if you're a new student in their college. If you feel like you do not have enough time, like you're stressing too much, like for example, if you're applying when you're in 11th grade, I would also recommend to take a gap year. Yeah, try right now, but if it will not work out, try again next year, because I feel like I knew way more information at the year when I already was in college. Like right after I applied to colleges, like a few months later, I was like, oh, that's where I did my mistake. Like they didn't really want to hear about the war. They wanted to hear like what is doing me, like why am I so cool? And I regretted some of this, but at the same time I was like, I have a full right to another college. Like, some things work out. Also remember that there are always failures. I'm the person who got so many rejections, but at the same time I got so many different acceptances. So there are always going to be something good after failure. Like, and I would definitely recommend take your time. Please take your time, but start early. I, as a person who was in a rush, and I have a lot of friends who are in the United States and who were getting ready for this process their whole life. And it still was hard for them because it's not an easy process, but it worth it when you are getting that acceptance later, where you get that financial aid later, when you already start studying in the college, when you're applying for your visa, it always worth it. There are a lot of things to do on campus, to be honest. I love my classes. The professors are great. I have great friends. There are clubs, there's student government. Also, they have engineering programs in my college. I love, we have foxes running on campus, rabbits. It's kind of a different experience. I already finished my first year, so I'm gonna be a sophomore next year. And it was one of the best years of my life, even though it was kind of hard because it's seeing who solves their problems by themselves, but it always worth it. It always worth a try. You always should try. Yeah. So if anyone will have any other questions on the stream, you can text me at my email address. It's on the screen. I would be glad to answer any questions if you will have them.
Thank you so much, Valeria, for such an interesting presentation. I highly enjoyed it, and I see we have quite a few questions in the comments. So the first one would be from a student who is wondering about the program you mentioned, Brave Ukraine, and could you tell us a bit more, Brave Generation, I'm really sorry, and could you tell us a bit more about your process of applying there and how the program helped you?
Yeah, so I think I applied to that program like a year and a half ago. I think it's called Brave Generation now, but at the same time, me and like the people who just got in, we were like the first people whoever participated in the program because it's just launched. Yeah, there were people from Columbia University and some other higher education institutions who were just glad to help us. They were volunteering to help us with applying process. Like they could check some of our essays. They could tell us like, oh, look more into that or look more into this. Also, the person who runs the program, Tatiana Kotelnikova, she also organizes, as now I see, I'm not a part of the program anymore, but as I see in social medias, they also have like a lot of calls with really cool people who I would really recommend to like watch the streams or like join the calls, because as a person who applied to a lot of programs, it never hurts to have like community. It's not just because of the program, it's also about the community, because now I have friends who are studying in United World Colleges. So if I would be a little bit smaller, younger, I would ask them for their advice because I know they're studying there, or like people from Flex or Ukraine Global Scholars. Like it's good to have community everywhere who you can ask questions. I think if you will Google Brave Generation, it's gonna show up like probably first link, but I'm sorry, I'm not a part of that program anymore, but they really helped me at the start of my applying process.
Thank
on
you
that.
so much, Valeria, for your answer. And just for all of the students who are currently here with us in the audience, I would like to say is that Education USA also has free programs for prospective students who are looking to apply to the US. One particular program, Successful Academic Mentors, that we successfully launched last year, actually connects aspiring Ukrainian students with current US students, and they work together in tandem, working on their applications, and with American students giving insight, tips, and advice on how to really make your application shine for your dream college or university. The program is completely free of charge, so keep up to date with our social media and you'll be able to apply and, of course, be part of the selected group of students. So let us move on to another question. And we've got a question from Maria, who's wondering, is it scary to go to another country alone?
I think it's going to be like the only answer. Yes, it is always scary. It would be scary for anyone, even if you're a person who really wants to move out of your country, or like you're like, oh my God, I'm dreaming about that country. It is going to be always scary to move alone. It's just always different how fast you're gonna adjust, how you're gonna feel after that. For me, it was kind of unusual because I was not really ready to move to the United States. I moved because of the war. So having a language barrier was really hard. Like, people did not understand my accent at all. But with the time passing, I adjusted pretty well. I would definitely recommend to talk to people a lot because one of the main difficulties that people face when they move to another country is a language barrier. And I didn't have any Ukrainian friends here in California. There was just no one in my town where I stayed in. So it helped me to move with my language barrier because the only option I had, the only friends I had, they were speaking English. So I adjusted pretty well with environment because it just clicked. It took time, but it clicked. Like, I was like, I can speak English now freely. Yeah, I would definitely recommend to always remember why you came to the country, why, if you came for the college, like, why did you want to be in the college, and like look at, like, try to distract yourself with like college activities or etc, because it's of course not going to be an easy process for like specifically teen mind. Oh, I moved to another country, but it always worth it at the end when you're realizing like, oh, I moved to another country as a teen and I'm studying in the like abroad institution.
Thank you so much for such an encouraging answer, Valeria. And we've got another student who's wondering, if I'm applying during the 11th year, will it be enough to submit only the first semester grades or even less, or do you recommend to take a gap year? So would you like to take that one or should I? Let me just start off by saying it's very important to have enough time to prepare your application. As Valeria has mentioned, spending time on researching the universities that you would be a good fit for and that can offer you the financial aid you need is essential to be successful in your application process. But if you already have the grades for the first semester, you can submit them. It is also important to remember that most universities have closed the application process by now. So if you're planning to apply this year, it is better to actually take a gap year and work on your application to make sure that you are successful. However, there are still a few colleges and universities that might be accepting students, although the chances of getting a full ride scholarships are significantly lower so late in the application period. So I hope I've answered your question, but if you need further information on the application process or any advice on writing your essays or making sure that you meet the deadlines, please make sure to sign up for a free consultation with one of our lovely advisors here at Education USA. We would be more than happy to help you and assist you on your journey, and of course, provide all the necessary resources completely free of charge. So let us move on to the next question. And I see another question from a student who's wondering, as for a student applying from Ukraine, is apostille required for documents for submission? If so, for which ones? Sorry to bother you, but I can't find a person to tell me such details. Once again, it would be best advice that you sign up for a consultation, as this way we can work one-on-one and see about the admission requirements at the college of your dreams. But generally, no, you do not need any like notary signatures or verification of your high school graduate certificate. You can simply translate with the help of your maybe English teacher or a person at your school who is really good at English, translate your grades into English, and of course have them verified by a signature and stamp of the director of your school. Once again, we have further information on how to best prepare transcripts and make sure they're accessible and understandable for members of the admissions committee. So please do not hesitate to reach out. We would love to help you. And we've got a question from Valeriia, who is wondering, are marks important for administration?
I would say that if they're like, if you're going to look at Ukrainian system, if it's like only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they would probably look and be, oh, this person probably does not really care about this school. But if you have like your transcript is like all 10s and like 1, 5 or 6 or like 2 of them, it's totally all right. Like they are not probably as important for the United States institutions as for Ukrainian. I would definitely recommend try to have the best grades, but at the same time, it is not the most important part of your application. Usually it's the essays or like your extracurriculars. Sorry. It's always important to have like the balance between everything.
Thank you so much, Valeriia, for your answer. Just to add to that, it's very important also to make sure that in your essay you explain the extenuating circumstances for your marks, because maybe you had a drop in your academic performance due to the beginning of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, because like your school was only available online or you had to relocate to a different part of Ukraine. So explaining the situation and the steps you took to still improve yourself and work on your application, and maybe any like extracurriculars, as Valeriia has mentioned, or volunteering experience you have, would be very important in considering your application holistically and making sure that you show the struggle, but also you're working towards overcoming that. So thank you so much for reaching out. Do we have any more questions?
Really well said, to be honest, about the grades.
Oh, I see another question about Ivy League colleges. So we have a student wondering, do Ivy League colleges accept the Duolingo or IELTS, or is only TOEFL required? So I think I should probably take that one on as well. It's very important to understand that most US colleges and universities do accept both IELTS and TOEFL as well as the Duolingo. However, if you're interested in a specific college or university, they may only accept, let's say, IELTS or TOEFL, such as Princeton University. But sometimes if you reach out to the admissions committee and explain why, for instance, you're unable to take these exams and ask whether they would instead consider your application with a Duolingo exam, they would understand and be able to find a solution that works for both of you. So it's very important to carefully read the requirements for the specific program, college, or university you're applying to, and make sure you abide to those as well. And once again, I can only recommend applying for a free consultation with one of our lovely advisors, because they can help you in your specific case find the best solution. And we can also reach out to US universities to find out directly from them if they're able to make adjustments and take into account your special circumstances. So we've got another question from a student who's wondering, which level of English should I have? So Valeriia, do you have any input on that?
Mostly colleges would like to have you as less as B2 and C1, C2, because if you're planning on studying in the United States and having like the whole application process and not use only Google Translator for that, it's really important to have a good level of English, I would say, because you're gonna be studying fully in English. There's not going to be like a person who will translate everything for you. So it's not even for the college, it's mostly for you too, to realize that you need to know the language to adjust better than people who don't know the language. And in case of anything, it is always better to know the language like minimum as B1. It's minimum.
Thank you so much for your answer, Valeriia. And just to add to that, some colleges do have special pathway programs for students who do meet the academic requirements for the program they're applying for, but their English is a little bit lower than the level expected. And these programs allow you to learn English simultaneously to attending lectures and seminars for your chosen field. So you're receiving credits while at the same time bettering your English to make sure that you get to the levels that all the other students have already achieved and can productively complete assignments and tasks. So we've got a final question from a student who's wondering, if I live in Germany now and have no opportunity to get back to Ukraine to pick my documents of education, can I use a document from DIA? And yes, in most cases you can use this document. However, it's very important once again to put your transcript together in the way that US colleges and universities require you to. And for more assistance on that and to get a template of the best way to put together your notes and make sure that admission committee members have an easy time of understanding and evaluating your academic achievements, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, and we would be more than happy to help you and assist you. It's such a pleasure to always have this many questions in the comments. So to all of our students with us today, thank you so much for being so active, and thank you so much, Valeriia, for sharing some wonderful tips and advice with the students. I wish you the best of luck on your journey to US study. Keep believing in yourself, keep working on your application, and you will make a dream of studying in the US a reality. I wish you the best of luck, stay safe, and stay with Education USA. Bye!
Thank you, everyone.